In today's video, we're going to show you how to repair a belt on a Dyson upright vacuum cleaner, the models that have the belt clutch system set up on it. And sadly, I messed up on part of the video. I didn't get good shots of the removal process of how to take everything apart. But honestly, if you look through this video and watch the whole thing, you can see how it all goes back together. And it's just exactly the opposite of how it came apart, really. I know that might sound kind of lame, but if you watch the video, you'll definitely see how it works. And it's pretty simple to do. You can do it without the special tool, or you can spend the extra 12 bucks and buy the special tool to make your life a little easier. But we show you how to do it. One more tip I want to give you. If you're going to be replacing both of the belts, the primary and the secondary, just go ahead and purchase the whole belt clutch assembly. It's like $37 on Amazon for a genuine Dyson part, and it's way better than trying to disassemble the clutch and replace the belts separately. It's just too much work, too much can go wrong, and it's probably honestly not going to stay together properly if you try and repair it yourself because of the little snap clips and different parts inside of the clutch. So if you're going to replace both belts, buy the clutch. That's your pro tip for the day on this video. Once the clutch assembly is free from the machine, it's easy to replace the belts. It requires a T10 Torx bit driver to remove these two screws here. And then the side cover will come off. And note how the belt comes out through two different sections of the side cover, one here and one here. And when you put it back together, it needs to come out the same holes. When the screws are out, there's a tab on the opposite side that needs to be depressed to pop the lid the rest of the way off. This will expose the clutch mechanism, the pulley, and the primary belt. I secured the new clutch mechanism into the body and started both screws in to hold it in place. Next, I grabbed a hold of the belt with these curved needle nose pliers. I grabbed it from the outboard side, like so, like this, and then I stretched it all the way past the drive spindle and used the screwdriver to push it over into place. A little tricky. I used my knees and leverage to hold the base in place while I use both hands to perform the operation. So you can do it without the special tool, although I have to say it would be definitely easier to get the special tool and use that, I'm sure. That's about $12 online. It would also be easier if you had someone sitting here to help you too. But I didn't. I decided to do it on my own without any help, and it worked out pretty well. Then replace your belt guard, making sure that it's pushed into place so that the three screw holes line up with the tabs where they get pushed down into. And it's pretty easy. They pretty much just snap right into place, and you can feel them go down. And then your main drive belt should stick out even with this right here, because when we put the roller brush on, we're going to stretch it out and slide it over the roller brush. Take your time and make sure that the cover is fully seated into position. If it's not, then the screws won't grab into the threads. Let me see if I can get a better view here for you. But you need to make sure that this piece here, and especially down here at the base, is fully seated down onto the little stem that it sits on. Same thing with the front side, which we can see right here. Let's see. Yeah, right here. There's our screw hole there. And if you look, it has to be fully seated right down here. If not, this will be off center and a little crooked, and your screws won't catch the threads in the plastic shroud on the bottom side. So I would do these front two first, make sure everything's down tight, and then put the third one, the one back down in there, put the third one in, the one that goes in this hole here, last. Next, we'll replace the upper roller brush housing, which is going to go in to these tabs here on the sides And it's a press fitting. You just rock it back and forth until you find a narrow spot and then snap it down into place. It's really not too hard. Just snap and snap. Our flex hose goes to this and to this. Let me show you the trick for putting this hose on. Leave it hanging out in the back. Cock that all the way forward. Push the hose over the end, and then thread it on by twisting it down counterclockwise, looking down on it. Just the opposite of what you think it would be to screw it on there, but there you go. Screw it on until it's all the way down. Once that end is on, then the other end will just snap into place down here over the lower fitting, over that fitting right down there. And now you can see the main suction hose is fully installed, and the whole thing pivots nice and easy, exactly as it's supposed to as it goes over your floor. Alright, not much left. We're getting done there, friends. We are getting this done. The roller brush. This one was in pretty good shape. We didn't replace it because this is a genuine Dyson, and usually the ones you get, aftermarket ones, are nowhere near as good as this. A brand new aftermarket one is usually not as good as a slightly worn Dyson brand part. So we're going to use this one. We cleaned up most of the fuzz and stuff in the bristles, pulled it all out bit by bit, made sure the bristles weren't worn over or melted down. And this looks like it's going to be fine. So we can see the belt roller part of it on the end here. And of course that's going to go on my right here, because when it snaps down into place, the belt catcher is going to be directly above the belt. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a hold of the belt down in here, stretch it out and pull it up, and then slide the roller brush underneath it. And here's a little trick for you to make it easier. Oops. Here's a little trick to make it easier. Remove this cover on the right side. Moving that cover, we get a smaller diameter surface to have to stretch the belt over, and it makes it a lot easier to work the belt into the proper position. And this is going to be tricky to show you while I'm doing it, but I'll do my best. I started by stretching the belt a little bit and getting a screwdriver underneath here for a pry bar. Once we got in there, we're going to grab it on both sides like this and lift it up into the air and hold it up while we insert the end of the roller brush into the gap underneath. I think you can see how I've got it pivoted on the edge of the housing, and then the screwdriver is through the belt. We have quite a bit of room here to work now. If we twist it a little, we should be able to get the end of the roller brush through the gap there in the belt, and we'll be all set then. And there we go, back in position. There's the belt directly over the drive plate on the roller brush. You can see I still got the tensioning screwdriver up there to stretch the belt. I also used my bent nose pliers because it was having trouble getting over this little lip right here. I couldn't stretch it enough on both sides, so I held it in my right hand here, and I got the pliers up underneath the belt and pushed it over onto the drive hub that way. Alright, now the next step is just going to be to remove the screwdriver, put our shaft and end caps back on this, and then push those down into place. And here we go. Snap the cover plate on by holding this end up in the air a little bit. Slid the shaft in all the way on this side and snap that into place. As you can see, the little offsets on the roller brush mounting hardware points directly to the back. And they snap into, like, it's not really a little groove, but there's a definite shape built into this upper brush cover where you can see that this extended part rests down on top of. You can almost see it down there, those three lines going up and down right there. That's where the extended part of this end cap rests on. You should be able to see it on both sides. Yeah, there's the three things over there, and you can see the oblong extended part, we'll call it the cam, resting on those three little arms. So now we can test it with the thing fully, with the head fully in the locked position, the upright position, this should spin easily. And it does. It just spins right around. You can see that there would be no tension on it. But if you kick it into the using position, it gets real tight, and you can feel the whole motor turning over. And we can also move the clutch to the neutral position, the bare floor position, and we still got the easy spin. And now when we pull it up, we should still have the easy spin too, because the clutch is in bare floor. And we move the clutch to the carpet position, and it instantly tightens up, which tells us we've done it correctly. Now the only thing left, really, I think, to put this floor plate back on here and the clutch switch back on the side over here. We just need to look at that and see what position we're in and line it up, and it should be pretty easy. So right now we're in the carpet position, I believe. Let's flip it to the bare floor position. All right, there's the bare floor position. And now we'll pull it up here. And we'll look at the clutch position here, and we will mount the handle back in place, if we can figure out how. Okay, it just kind of dropped into position all on its own here, which makes sense because there's this little spring tab right here that holds the spring in place, and as you're sliding it in, you can see there's a little cutout inside of the plastic cover to make room for that spring tab. Oh, I pushed a little bit, look at that, clicked right into place, and we can easily move it. There's the indicator right there. Look at that, just like brand new, eh? And you did it yourself and saved a whole bunch of money. All right, let's just finish this job up because it's not quite done until it's done, right? So we're going to get the base plate here. And make sure all the retainer clips are turned straight up and down so they go in easy without any fuss. Turn those all so they're perpendicular to the roller brush. And then we'll carefully flip this around and drop that down into place like that. Tip it up, push it forward and down, and then press down on this. Work each of the little snap latches down into the hole, and then with a flat screwdriver, give each one a twist, 90 degrees. Everything's looking great here. We've got one more piece to put back on down at the bottom here. The removable elbow for cleaning needs to go back on next. And that just slides down into the, well, let's use the other hand. The yellow part slides down into a groove right here and just clicks into place like so. Locks in. If you ever get a blockage where it's not suctioning up good from the lower end, but you have suction at the top wand head, squeeze this little tab here, pull this elbow off, and have a quick look inside to see if it's clogged up. If it's not, and while you also have it upside down, get a flashlight or something and shine it on this flex tube, because sometimes these flex tubes get clogged up too. And I wanted this to be a nicely reconditioned unit, because we're going to probably give it to someone. And I went ahead and replaced the missing cap for the wand. And this was, I got this on Amazon, I think it was like $7. And there we go, a complete reconditioning of the Dyson DC14 upright. Very similar process for the DC7, DC24, any of the older upright models that have the belt clutch system set up. And again, I'm sorry I didn't get the disassembly part on film, but if you watch through the whole video of how to put it back together, you'll see how it actually comes apart, which is, you know, the opposite of how it went together. But seriously, this thing works great now. I picked this up in the garbage somewhere, and like I say, it was just about an hour's worth of work and maybe $40 worth of parts. It's back in excellent condition and working better than any of my other vacuums, actually. So you can do it yourself, save $100, $150 from what they're going to charge you to replace the belt at a shop, and get your machine back in good running shape.